Hey everyone. Okay, so first and foremost, there's an intriguing thing to address in this episode, which is where the hell did the food Luffy's eating come from? And no, that's not a joke. That's a legitimate question, as most of the characters are, as we see throughout this episode, most of the characters are a little too preoccupied dealing with Saturn or doing something else to really be able to help Luffy. So who provided the meal for Luffy to recover? And when people saw this in the manga, there was really only one person who did make sense. Kizaru. Yeah, despite him being an antagonist of this arc, he was very likely the one who saved Luffy. Now, the question from that spawned is why, and I think the answer is pretty obvious. Despite being an admiral, despite being given this mandate to eliminate Vegapunk, as well as everyone and everything connected to him, Kizaru just couldn't fully abandon his sentiments and the history shared with Vegapunk, with Sentomaru, and yes, even with Bonnie. Those are the one relationships. Those are the one relationships he cares about and I think deep down he wants to try to protect. So even if Vegapunk has to die, he still wants to make sure the other people he cares about, whether it's Bonnie, whether it's Sentomaru, that they survive. He can. Even if it means he wants to make sure they survive, even if it means relying on Luffy of all people to do it in his place. And like I said at the top, even when this arc began, Kizaru was never like my absolute favorite of the admirals, or even marine characters who are in the Marines, for example. So, but but just uh, but just this one little moment combined with what we know about his past now, it does show there is more to the man than just what we've seen before, than what we've seen up to this point. And there's there's definitely, like, I think more than anything, I think the thing that this one little moment proved of saving Luffy and whatnot, it definitely proved there's a lot more he hides behind that very cavalier attitude. Like, despite how cavalier like Kizaru often comes across, it's clear that there are he, like many others, there are relationships he cares about and wants to protect. So it's like, it's all this stuff that really does kind of, I think, add a lot more flavor to his character, and stuff that, again, I'm not saying I hated Kizaru back then, but there wasn't enough for me to really grow attached to him either. Whereas this arc, it really does flesh him out as more of a character, frankly, in my opinion. Of course, on the flip side of that, nothing is surprising about the reveals we get from Saturn in this episode, whether it's him being responsible for giving Ginny and Bonnie sapphire scales, to experimenting on Bonnie to give her a devil fruit. Like, none of these reveals in regards to Saturn are surprising to us, and that is very much intentional, to further show us how much of an irredeemable monster he is, that he's completely emotionally detached from everyone and everything around him, only ever seeing everything as an experiment. No matter how inhumane it might seem, he's going to do it in the name of science. And again, none of this is new, but the more twisted part about it is that science to him has no limitations. There's only ever the experiment and the result, not the lives that are the most affected, and it gets stuck in the middle. It's no wonder it's no wonder he and Vegapunk have always butted heads, because at least Vegapunk, for outlandish as many of his experiments can be, understands the risks that carry over from each one. And of course, the things he had to do to Kuma, as it's proven through the backstory, he regrets every single fucking day of his life. Like, the stuff he did to Kuma is not the stuff he believes in. Like, it is the complete opposite of what, and in some ways it's stuff like this, I think, that even though the Straw Hats are a part of the story, I can't help feel that in a way that this is the kind of arc where Vegapunk and Vegapunk and Saturn are more the main characters of this arc in a way, because they're the ones who have the most parallels to each other, and they're the ones who are constantly at each other's throats with trying to under with trying to basically with trying to with trying to with trying to outdo each other in their ideals about science kind of thing, and of course, like Bonnie and Kuma, like it's Bonnie, Kuma, Vegapunk and Vegapunk and Vegapunk and Vegapunk and Saturn are the ones who kind of take up the kind of main character spotlight. You could say, I guess, is what I'm saying at the end of this all. I'll also say this as well, though. The anime, although not adding much more from the manga, somehow I think just the idea of him experimenting, the idea of Saturn experimenting on Bonnie, even more unsettling than the manga, just from that one scene of seeing him reaching out for baby Bonnie while in her crib. But like, it's just one of those scenes. Like I can't remember the scene from in the manga or not, but it's just one of those scenes where in anime format, it's just fucking terrifying. Just kind of the encapsulation of just what kind of a monster like he really is. For all the talk of being for all the talk of it being God, like for all the talk of Marie being God's land, it's fucking hell. Let's be real about it. God's land and the Holy Land, it's fucking hell. It is the biggest representation of, it is the biggest dichotomy of actually being the biggest form of hell ever. And but yeah. and you know, there's actually kind of, and you know, there's what, but above all else, I think one of the most revealing things to me about Saturn in this episode is that for all of Saturn's taunts aimed at Bonnie, you can almost sense the underlying fear that for as much as he's trying to break Bonnie's will, he's, I think in some ways, saying that Nika doesn't exist, saying that Nika is dead, isn't something that exists in this world or whatnot. It feels like he's almost trying to convince himself that Nika isn't real and that Luffy is just a pale imitation of the real thing, despite awakening the power. It's like it really is one of those things where I think more than anything, like he's trying to, even he hides it well, but I think he is just as fearful of the fact that Nika in a shape or form has returned. Like that, I think more than anything else is what he fears. And yeah, of course we get the big moment of the episode where Kuma appears on Egghead, and let's just call it like it is. Kuma finally got his get back. As the entire back half of this episode was Kuma going absolutely ballistic and delivering a well-deserved payback on Saturn and the government while still saving Bonnie. And I love how this moment is an encapsulation of rejection of Saturn's beliefs that he killed Kuma, that for however much he did succeed at turning Kuma into a machine, there was still that little piece of his old self that could not be destroyed. And it's the piece of himself that was still left alive among all the wires and circuitry. The part that was Bonnie's father, the natural instinct in order to protect her. And just the fact that Kuma even defied Saturn at all, I love how it's like twisting him up, trying to piece together just what's going on. How the hell is this happening? He's only at like, for Saturn, he's only ever been the one in control. So having that sense of control almost ripped away from him, even for a moment, like, you know it's got to be tearing the man up inside. And I am here for it. And again, just that one punch from Kuma was the cherry on top to this episode. Again, after so many years of having to endure so much at the hands of the government, this was a crash out that was long awaited and worth every frame and moment in this episode. Like, it felt so good. Also, of one final note, really Saturn, really my guy, you really tried with the self-destruct button, my guy. Like, you of all people should have known a basic bitch tactic like that wasn't gonna work. Like, actually, I think if I remember correctly, I think I think the government, I think the revolutionaries actually removed that self-destruct device after like after getting Kuma back. So it's like, yeah, you really didn't think that they would account for that shit, dude. Like you really don't give Dragon that much credit, do you? Dragon or the revolutionaries that much credit. You really think they'd fall for that bitch, that move? Really, dude? Although I do gotta say, Toei using Kuma's memories as I gotta say, Toei using Kuma's memories as the end credits is diabolical on your part. A nice tribute to Kuma and his memories and whatnot, but diabolical nonetheless, like motherfuckers. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll, be sure notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just shit it around, guys. Dark Knight, everybody, signing off. Later, everyone.